Hey, good morning, beloved. Welcome to Christ Coffee and Conversation. My name's Pastor Eric, and along with my bride Elaine, we are Encountering God Ministries here in San Antonio, Texas, serving the lowly, the least, the last, and the lost. And so, I want to a little bit early today, and popping up on your screen a little bit early. It's got a divine appointment. Got to go and see some folks, and so just keep me in your prayers for that. I'll get me a cup of coffee, and we'll get cracking. So I want to thank you again yesterday for just continuing the conversation. It's always cool, and someone talked to me yesterday where we were talking about sin separating us from God, and I want to thank the person that sent me an email and talked about the reminded us that nothing can separate us from the love of God. Okay, remember that. Nothing. Say nothing. Nothing. Nothing can separate us from the love of God. The love of God. While we were still yet sinners, Christ died for us. Okay, so nothing is going to separate you from that. But believe me when I tell you yesterday, like I said yesterday, sin will separate you from God. It will cause you to go a different way from God. You can't do godly things with a sinful heart. Amen. So thanks for a comment yesterday, the email yesterday. So anyway, cheers. So we talked about that yesterday, and today I want to talk to you about a pure heart. And in the book of Isaiah, in Isaiah 6:8, Isaiah says, "Then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, who should I send? Who will go for us? And he says, I said, here am I, send me. Here am I, send me." And so it takes a pure heart, doesn't it? It takes a pure heart to see God. We talked about that a couple of months back in Matthew 5:8. Blessed are the pure in heart. Now we all know, we've said this before, we know we can attend our church services and we can read our Bible and we can pray, but if sin fills your heart, you will not see God. And Isaiah knew this, and you will know. Isaiah knew this, and you will know when you have encountered God. You will know when you've encountered God, because your life will no longer be the same or even look the same. On a daily basis, as you exalt God, right, as you expect God, and as you experience God, your life will never be the same. I heard my brother James talking the other day on his live, and he was talking about this. That you could go back to the streets tomorrow and be right back in it and just pick it up where you left off. And all that you've done for the Lord, I'm not saying it wouldn't bear fruit. It would help people remember how quickly they can fall. I know that. But the evidence is that you stay connected to the vine. Because you could go down the gutter tomorrow and just start living that life as if it's never been away from you. So you have to stay connected to the vine, and a pure heart does that. A pure heart drives out all the desire for sin. A pure heart drives out all that need for affection in the wrong places, that need for addiction. A pure heart in love with Christ, connected to the vine, stays connected to God. Right? Now Isaiah didn't live a perfect life either, right? And he's out here when he's living around the time of King Uzziah, right? Now he was a noble king, all right? But then something happened, right? Something happened that forever changed Isaiah's life. God, in all his awesome majesty, appeared to him in the temple, surrounded by heavenly creatures. Look what it says. It says, "In the year that King Uzziah died, I saw the Lord seated on a throne, high and exalted, and the train of his robe filled the temple. Above him were seraphs, each with 6 wings. With 2 wings they covered their faces, with 2 they covered their feet, and with 2 they were flying. And they were calling to one another. They were calling to one another. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord Almighty. The whole earth is full of his glory. Imagine that echoing around you. I hope that echoes around your heart today, beloved. All right? Have that echoing around your heart today. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord Almighty. The whole earth is full of his glory. And it says, at the sound of their voices, the doorposts and thresholds shook, and the temple was filled with smoke. Look what he says. This is what happens when you've had an encounter with God. Woe to me. He says, woe to me, I cried. I am ruined, for I am a man of unclean lips, and I live among a people of unclean lips, and my eyes have seen the King, the Lord Almighty. And then it says, then one of the seraphs flew to me with a live coal in his hand, which he had taken with tongs from the altar. With it he touched my mouth and said, See, this has touched your lips, your guilt is taken away, and your sin atoned for. Then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, whom shall I send, and who will go for us? And he said, here I am, send me. He said, go and tell this people. And God gives him his instructions to go and tell the people. And there's something exciting about that, beloved, that when God touches your lips, that they become clean. You know, I remember going to visit my mother not long after I got saved. I think it was around 2001. Took Elaine and the boys over there. And she never told me, my mother, but she did tell my bride Elaine. She said, there's something about Eric. He's been here for over 2 weeks or whatever it was, and she said, I haven't heard him swear once. Never heard him swear once. And I was always cussing up a storm. Always angry at the world, cussing up a storm, didn't care who it was. Always reminded by my brothers and sisters, hey, stop swearing in front of me, mum. Gosh, come on. Didn't matter anywhere, anyhow. Language was awful. But my mum noticed that it stopped. Now I'm going to be brutally honest with you, it's slipping back in. And some of you who are watching probably know we've said that. Gosh. Whoa. So, you hear it, you know it. And you make amends for it, right? You take care of it, you start working on it. So Isaiah's been touched on the lips, his sins have been atoned for, and his guilt, I love that. His guilt, the way he used to live, has been taken away. I love it. And you too can do that, right? You haven't got to let crap come out of your mouth, amen? It says that God showed up to him, and instantly God's presence made Isaiah aware of his sinfulness. And it's kind of cool because it says here, I love this, it says immediately after this cleansing, after this cleansing, immediately it says Isaiah began to hear things he had never heard before. Now he was aware of a conversation in heaven concerning who might be worthy to be God's messenger to the people. That is a fantastic nugget. I want you to get hold of that, all right? He was aware of a conversation in heaven. When God awakens your spirit, when you're born again, you start to see the world as God sees it. And I love that when I first saw the Matrix movies. And he's driving down the street and he sees the world just going on as they think it's going on, and it shows you a broken and fallen world. And he's driving down the street and people think it looks normal, and he sees it as broken and ruined. And it says that, look, it says that in verse 11 of Isaiah 6:11. It says, he says, how long shall I go, Lord? He says, until the cities lie ruined and without inhabitant, until the houses are left deserted and the fields ruined and ravaged, until the Lord has sent everyone far away and the land is utterly forsaken. Now, I don't want to take that out of context there. I want you to go back and read how that sits in the context. But when we're born again, we start to see the world as God sees it. broken and derelict and ruined. But God, I don't know if you can see but God, right, is sending messengers out, giving heavenly visions to people of his plan and his purpose to restore the world, right, back to himself. And he wants someone like you and you and you and you and you at the back. Yeah. I can see your hand at the back. Yeah, you. Because he just says, who will go for me? Who shall I send? I mean, he gives them this idea. Look, it looks hopeless. So God's almost having a little conversation there saying, well, who am I going to send? Well, Isaiah's lit up like the 4th of July, isn't he? Send me. I'll go. And that's what God's been doing. That's what God's been doing since the end of time, giving young men and old men and women visions and dreams of hope and what the world could look like. And he needs messengers to go and proclaim his gospel and be the hands and feet of Jesus. Right? And we can see that, as I say, we can see that happening with the floods and the fires and the massacres that are happening. That this idea that this verse 11, that the cities are ruined and sometimes uninhabited, and the houses are left deserted, and the fields ruined and ravaged. I mean, I'm almost reading to you a prophetic message from the thingy that this is kind of happening now, isn't it? This little houses are left deserted, right? Cities lie ruined and without people in them, and the fields are ruined and ravaged. Look at the fires in California, right? God is doing something, beloved, and he wants to know who he can send. And some of you are responding to do that. And I want to take a quick moment, it's just dropped into my head. Big Texas welcome to the brothers and sisters from Stillmeadow Church of the Nazarene. You've dropped into Rockport to do some work. So we thank them. Pastor Kent's leading that crew, and the brothers and sisters have landed in the heart of Texas. I'm going to tell you something. When you've been to Texas, it grabs you by the heart. Listen, guys, don't be ashamed if you don't want to go back to Pennsylvania. Don't be ashamed. It's just the way it is. Texas gets you that way. Got some room here. If you need to find a place, go AWOL from your mission trip. All right, just a little bit led astray there. All right, so let's get back in here. So he was aware of this conversation in heaven, right? And he gets this idea of that God wants him to be a messenger. And so he says, here I am, send me. Here I am, send me. You see, now that God had cleansed Isaiah, he was aware of heavenly concerns and prepared to offer himself to God's services. Whereas Isaiah had been preoccupied before, like we were, right? Like we were. We've been preoccupied with the way the world operates. It just had so much to offer. And yet Isaiah gets a glimpse of heaven and goes, whoa, this is nothing, right? It says here, it says if we become estranged from God and his activity, we need to see this experience of his cleansing. We need to feel his cleansing. The sanctification, if you like, prepares you to see and hear God. This cleansing that takes over our mind, our body and our spirit, look, it just overwhelms us, doesn't it? And it enables us, that's what's cool about it, it enables us to serve him. Because only God can purify your heart. Only God can purify your heart and allow him to remove any impurities that hinder your relationship with him. And then your service to him will have meaning as you offer him a consecrated life. Are you ready for that, beloved? Are you ready for that? Are you ready for the cleansing? Are you ready to set your life apart for God? Are you ready for him to touch your lips with hot coals? For your guilt and your shame to fall just down to the ground. It doesn't matter anymore. It's just one more day. Give me one more day, God. One more day to reach one more soul. One more ear to hear the message of love and hope that God offers in the cleansing. Because it's coming. It's coming. And God's calling. God's calling. And some of you are having dreams and visions of Jesus being there with you and showing you these things, and it's time. It's time to stand up, rise up, and be the man or woman of God that God's called you to be. He'll help you. Is it an easy task? No. Will you be mocked? Yeah. Will you be ridiculed? Yeah. Will you be persecuted? Yeah. Will you be beaten up? Probably. Will you be stoned? Oh, I hope not. Well, I know one thing, I won't be stoned in the worldly sense of the stoned. I know that much. I won't be. I'll be waiting. And so listen, exercise your heart today in purity for God. Alright, this has been Pastor Eric with Christ, Coffee and Conversation. And whether you like it or not, that's right. Whether you like it or not, you just had an encounter with God. And hopefully I'll see you tomorrow.